cost me quite a bit of money. You're not gonna make it. My lord, the resemblance. Your injuries appear to be more serious than his were. That's why I actually didn't have to use this. He gave me no choice, you see. Said he had a little girl. I don't think you're faster than the bullet.
You win the semifinal round. Dad, come on, say something. Give me a sign, please. Give me a fucking sign! Please, Dad. I'm scared.
Your father certainly wasn't.
Did Shu's fiance discover that the hard way?
Your father. He mysteriously disappeared before the final.
Hello and welcome to 2.2 Recaps. Today we are going to recap a 2016 movie titled Lady Bloodfight. One night at a quiet, unassuming coffee shop, a waitress named Jane is busy serving customers. Because of her looks, she is frequently targeted for harassment by the men loitering nearby. Eventually she reaches her breaking point. When one man crosses the line and tries to touch her, Jane snaps and strikes back. Though Jane wants to keep her job, she refuses to endure further humiliation. Unfortunately, her outburst costs her everything and she is fired on the spot. Worse still, the man she defended herself against cannot stomach the public embarrassment. Joined by his gang, RA lies in wait for Jane in the parking lot. They launch a vicious assault, beating her until she collapses. However, Jane is not someone who stays down for long. She fights back with immediate, cold precision. She hauls herself back to her feet and strikes first, taking down anyone who dares to approach her. Even a man who attempts to flee is caught and beaten unconscious. Jane's courage is no accident. It is the result of a lifetime of resilience. Since childhood, Jane has trained in martial arts under the guidance of her father. More than 10 years ago, her father, a world-class fighter, traveled to Hong Kong to compete in a major tournament and never returned. Ever since that day, Jane has carried the weight of his disappearance deep in her heart. Now grown and hardened by her experiences, she decides it is finally time for answers. She packs her belongings, says a final goodbye to her mother, and heads to Hong Kong to uncover the truth. However, as a newcomer in a sprawling foreign city, she has no idea what dangers lie in wait. Moments after stepping off the bus, Jane is deceived by a group of local thugs and lured into a deserted alley. Realizing they intend to rob her, she reacts instantly. She manages to knock several of them down, but they are simply too numerous and she is quickly overwhelmed. Just as the situation turns desperate, a woman witnesses the assault and steps in to intervene. Dazed and barely conscious, Jane catches only a glimpse of this mysterious figure effortlessly defeating the attackers before she finally passes out. The woman who saved Jane is revealed to be Master Su, a member of the Wudong sect in Hong Kong. During her recovery, Jane works quietly around the temple, cleaning and assisting without complaint. She even takes the time to tend to the remains of a dead bird, an act of compassion that does not go unnoticed by Master Su. 5 years earlier, Master Su herself competed in a brutal underground tournament. In the final match, she faced a formidable female disciple from the Shaolin Temple. Their battle was intense, a display of powerful techniques that left neither side with a clear victory. When the prize money could not be divided fairly, the organizers reached a final decision. Both fighters were to find a female disciple to represent them in the next competition. Only then would a true superior be declared. For nearly 5 years, Master Su searched in vain for the right student. With only 3 months remaining before the tournament, Jane arrives at the temple by pure coincidence. While Jane's ultimate goal is to enter the competition, her current skill level falls short of Master Su's expectations. At her present pace, entering the ring wouldn't just mean defeat, it would almost certainly mean death. Hearing this, Jane prepares to leave, but Master Su pauses and chooses to trust in fate. She sets a single condition. If Jane can save a small bird on the brink of death, Su will accept her as a disciple and allow her to enter the competition. Using complex Wudong techniques, Master Su appears to channel her energy into the bird. Before Jane's eyes, the creature stirs back to life and flies away. What Jane doesn't realize is that the miracle she witnessed was merely a clever illusion. Nevertheless, from that moment on, Master Su begins her instruction. This marks the start of an intense 3-month regimen. Jane's first task is simple yet brutal. She must practice her stance every single day regardless of rain or wind, from the moment she opens her eyes in the morning. For a beginner, the training is overwhelming, but after 2 months of relentless effort, Jane's Wudong Kung Fu improves at an astonishing pace. Her strength grows rapidly, though she still remains far below the mastery of her teacher. At the same time, something unusual happens at the Shaolin Martial Arts School. A mysterious young woman appears and arrogantly challenges 10 fighters at once. One tall and powerful female student steps forward to face her, but she is quickly overwhelmed by the girl's raw and overwhelming strength. Despite her lack of real combat experience, that moment makes Shaolin realize the truth. This mysterious girl is the perfect candidate to represent them. Her name is Ling, a wandering fighter with no permanent home. She is offered food, shelter, and 3 months of training, along with the promise that once trained, even seasoned warriors will not be able to defeat her. Ling accepts, and the 3 months pass in the blink of an eye. The underground tournament, held once every 5 years, finally begins. Female fighters from around the world gather, each one known for their brutality. Before the matches start, every contestant signs a death waiver. Only then does the competition officially begin. Jane's first opponent is a Taekwondo fighter with devastating kicks. Under a relentless barrage of strikes, Jane begins to falter, giving her opponent a clear opening to land a heavy blow. She takes a deep breath, steadies herself, and begins to dictate the rhythm of the fight. In truth, Jane's skill far exceeds what she initially displayed. Her early hesitation was merely the result of first-match nerves. Once she regains her composure, she delivers a powerful kick that sends her opponent spiraling out of the arena, securing a decisive victory. Elsewhere, the atmosphere shifts as a heavily built female fighter steps onto the stage. Her physique is so imposing and muscular that she dwarfs most of the men in the room. Her opponent, by contrast, is a girl who appears remarkably calm and gentle. To the crowd's collective shock, a single precise punch from the quiet girl is enough to floor the massive challenger. As the tournament unfolds, each competitor reveals their unique strengths. Jane can feel the crushing tension of the arena, which only intensifies when a ruthless fighter named Ong takes the stage. Ong shows no mercy. Even after her opponents have fallen, she continues her assault, repeatedly kicking them until they are severely injured. The final match of the day features Ling, representing Shaolin, against a fighter from Israel. Ling's refined technique and overwhelming presence allow her to swiftly dispatch her opponent. Bringing the tournament's opening round to a decisive close. While the other winners take the opportunity to rest, Jane refuses to stay idle. Driven by a personal score, she tracks down the thugs who stole her wallet. Drawing on every ounce of her training, she neutralizes them one by one, finally reclaiming the precious photograph of her father. However, her victory is short-lived. Master Su witnesses the confrontation, and her fury is immediate. Disgraced that her sacred teachings were squandered on common street criminals, Master Su formally expels Jane, refusing to recognize her as a disciple any longer. Lost and overwhelmed by the sudden weight of her isolation, Jane finds herself staring at the photo of her father. While sorting through her belongings, she discovers a business card belonging to an official she encountered at the arena. The card leads her to Kazumi, a member of the organizing committee. The moment Jane presents the photograph, Kazumi's expression shifts. He recognizes the man. Kazumi reveals a haunting truth. 10 years ago, Jane's father entered the tournament and fought his way to the finals, only to vanish without a trace on the eve of the championship match. When Jane presses for more answers, Kazumi falls silent, refusing to divulge anything further. The mystery lingers as the second round begins the following day, this time featuring the brutal discipline of weapon combat. The resonance of the opening gong signals the start of the first match. A fighter clad in white, wielding a formidable spear, immediately asserts dominance over an opponent armed with nunchaku. The reach of the spear keeps the nunchaku fighter under constant pressure, rendering her close-range strikes ineffective. However, in a sudden, calculated reversal, the nunchaku fighter closes the gap, overwhelms her adversary with a flurry of strikes, and knocks the spear wielder out of the arena. Then it is Jane's turn. She faces an opponent wielding a massive broadsword and chooses a similar blade for the duel. The engagement is grueling. Jane finds herself driven back by her opponent's sheer, superior strength. Jane refuses to yield, biding her time until she spots a momentary lapse in her opponent's defense. She lunges, slashing her opponent's back before launching a relentless secondary assault. As her rival staggers in confusion, Jane delivers a decisive final kick that knocks her unconscious, securing yet another hard-fought victory. The atmosphere in the arena curdles as the next match begins. Ong steps onto the stage to face Cassidy, Jane's only friend in the tournament. In a display of pure, chilling arrogance, Ong discards her weapon, signaling she doesn't need steel to finish the fight. With a single, sickening strike, Ong shatters Cassidy's arm before unleashing a merciless beating. Desperate and broken, Cassidy attempts to surrender, crawling toward the edge of the arena in search of mercy. Instead, Ong retrieves her blade and slashes Cassidy's throat, ending her life in front of the horrified crowd. The horror deepens when the brackets are announced. Jane's next opponent is Ong herself. Though a paralyzing fear grips her, Jane forces herself to find a core of icy calm. Meanwhile, in the other half of the bracket, Ling battles fiercely through the semi-finals, emerging victorious and securing her place in the final. Now the moment of reckoning arrives. Jane must face Ong. With steel in her gaze, Jane braces herself against Ong's savage, unrestrained assault. The onslaught is overwhelming. Jane is battered to the ground and beaten relentlessly. The violence is so absolute that the crowd falls silent, assuming Jane has been killed. But against all odds she stirs. Rising from the dust, Jane unleashes a wave of pure ferocity, striking Ong with a desperate power. She refuses to relent until her opponent is rendered completely helpless, securing a victory that seemed impossible moments before. As Jane retreats to the waiting area to recover, Kazumi appears, finally casting aside his mask of neutrality. He reveals the chilling truth. 10 years ago, Jane's father reached the finals, only to be murdered by Kazumi to protect a massive gambling debt. Kazumi admits he intended to silence Jane the same way, but seeing her mangled and broken state, he arrogantly decides to postpone his lethal plan. Frail and bleeding, Jane drags herself back to Master Su. Realizing the gravity of the stakes, Master Su understands that she cannot allow Kazumi's corruption to prevail again. She spends the long hours of the night healing Jane's broken body, and as dawn breaks she stands firmly at her side, returning to the arena not just as a teacher, but as Jane's coach for the final match. When Kazumi catches sight of Jane, looking restored and resolute, a flicker of panic finally begins to pierce his composure. The championship match commences, pitting Jane against the formidable Ling. Despite the healing arts, Jane still carries the weight of her previous trauma. She finds herself forced into a desperate defense, absorbing hit after hit without an opening to strike back. To the spectators, her defeat seems inevitable. However, in her darkest moment, Jane finds an untapped well of strength in the memory of her father, feeling his presence urging her to endure. With a surge of renewed spirit, Jane rises once more, casting aside her pain to launch a fierce, tactical counterattack. She builds an unstoppable momentum, landing blow after blow with punishing precision. Finally, she connects with a thunderous kick that sends Ling crashing into the water below. As the ripples fade, Jane stands alone on the platform, the undisputed champion of the tournament. Watching his empire of lies crumble, Kazumi panics and attempts a desperate escape, but he is quickly intercepted and captured. Instead, he is handed over to the authorities to finally face the weight of justice. With the truth exposed, the long-standing blood feud between the Wudong and Shaolin sects finally reaches its end. Reconnecting through their shared history, the two schools set aside their bitter rivalry to begin training a new generation of disciples together, bringing this journey to a powerful and hopeful close. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this journey, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss another action-packed story here at 2.2 Actions Recaps.